The blue glow of the laptop screen casts shadows across David's face as he stares at the timestamp. 2:47 a.m. His coffee has gone cold hours ago. He should be sleeping. His shift at the hospital starts in 5 hours, but the security footage holds him captive like a moth to flame. There she is, Elena, his wife of 8 years, moving through their kitchen with that fluid grace he fell in love with. Her dark hair catches the afternoon sunlight streaming through their bay window. And even through the grainy camera feed, she's breathtaking. But she's not alone. A man's hand appears at the edge of the frame, adjusting something beneath their sink. David's jaw tightens. The repairman, Marcus, his name was. Elena had mentioned him, the plumber who'd been fixing their recurring leak these past 3 weeks. Always arriving during David's night shifts, always gone before he returned home. David fast forwards, watching their silent dance in double time. Elena brings Marcus coffee. They talk. She laughs that throaty laugh that used to be his alone. The man looks up from his work, and even through the security camera, David can see something pass between them. A spark, recognition, hunger. His finger hovers over the delete button. He could erase this moment, pretend it never happened, go to bed, kiss Elena goodbye in the morning like nothing has changed. Instead, he clicks play. The kitchen fills with golden afternoon light as Elena leans against the counter, watching Marcus work. She's wearing that sundress, the yellow one, that makes her skin glow like honey. Marcus glances up, tool in hand, and their eyes meet across the small space. "You don't have to stay," Marcus says, his voice barely audible through the laptop speakers. "I can finish this myself." Elena tilts her head, a small smile playing at her lips. "I know." But she doesn't move. Neither does he. The silence stretches between them, heavy with unspoken words. Marcus sets down his wrench, slowly rising to his full height. He's tall, David notices, with a stab of something that isn't quite jealousy, not yet. Broad shoulders, calloused hands. The kind of man who fixes things with his bare hands instead of paying someone else to do it. The kind of man David used to be before medical school consumed his 20s and hospital rotations devoured his 30s. "Elena," Marcus says, and her name sounds different in his mouth. Careful, reverent. She takes a step forward. Just one, but it might as well be a mile. David's heart hammers against his ribs as he watches his wife as Elena move closer to another man. He should feel rage, betrayal. Instead, there's something else unfurling in his chest, something that feels dangerously close to understanding. When was the last time he'd said her name like that? Like a prayer instead of a shopping list item or appointment reminder. On screen, Marcus reaches out, almost touching Elena's face before catching himself. His hand falls to his side, but the moment hangs between them like a held breath. "I should go," he whispers. Elena's eyes never leave his. Should. The word carries weight, acknowledgement of lines they haven't crossed, promises they haven't broken. Yet, Marcus begins packing his tools, movements deliberate and slow. Elena doesn't help. She doesn't move away, either. She simply watches him, with an intensity that makes David's chest ache with recognition. It's the same way she used to watch him, during those early morning conversations in their first apartment, when the world belonged to just them and coffee was still a luxury. At the door, Marcus turns back. Elena is framed in the kitchen doorway, sunlight streaming around her like she's something holy. "Same time tomorrow?" he asks. It's an innocent question, professional, practical. It doesn't feel innocent at all. Elena nods, and David watches his marriage balance on the edge of that simple gesture. The front door closes. Elena remains motionless for a long moment, one hand pressed to her lips as if she's trying to hold something in or keep something out. David closes the laptop. In the sudden darkness of his study, he sits with the weight of what he's witnessed. Not betrayal, not yet, but the prelude to something that could shatter everything he thought he knew about the woman. Sleeping upstairs. Tomorrow, Marcus will return. Elena will be waiting, and David will be watching. The next evening, David calls in sick for the first time in 3 years. Elena doesn't question it, just kisses his forehead with those soft lips that taste like mint tea. And whispered secrets. "Rest," she murmurs. "I'll be quiet during the day." If only she knew. David positions himself in the upstairs bedroom window. laptop balanced on his knees, security feed streaming live. At exactly to 15 p.m., Marcus's truck pulls into their driveway. Elena meets him at the door. Today she's wearing jeans and a cream-colored sweater that hugs her curves in ways that make David's mouth go dry. She's dressed down, casual, but there's something deliberate about the choice, approachable. Touchable, coffee, she offers, and Marcus nods, following her toward the kitchen. David switches to the kitchen camera feed, heart pounding like he's about to perform surgery instead of spying on his own wife. They move around each other with increasing familiarity, Elena reaching for mugs, while Marcus sets up his tools, their bodies creating a careful choreography of almost touches and stolen glances. When Elena hands him the coffee, their fingers brush. She doesn't pull away immediately. "Sleep okay?" Marcus asks, settling beneath the sink. Elena leans against the counter, cradling her own mug. David works nights. The house feels different when he's gone. Different how she considers this. Head tilted in that way that means she's choosing her words carefully. Quieter, but also bigger somehow, like there's more space for thoughts. You don't usually let yourself think. Marcus's hands still on his wrench. What kind of thoughts? The question hangs in the air between them, dangerous and electric. Elena takes a sip of coffee. Using the moment to study him, David finds himself holding his breath. Wondering thoughts. She says finally, about choices, about paths not taken, regrets, questions. Marcus emerges from beneath the sink, sitting back on his heels. His eyes find hers across the kitchen, and David can practically see the current running between them. Questions about what? Elena sets down her coffee, fingers tracing the rim of the mug. About whether playing it safe is the same thing as being happy. David's chest tightens. Elena has always been careful, methodical. It's what drew him to her stability, her contentment with their quiet life. But watching her now, he sees something he'd missed: hunger, curiosity about who she might be if she allowed herself to want something more. Marcus stands slowly, and suddenly the kitchen feels impossibly small. "And what conclusion have you reached?" Elena lifts her chin, meeting his gaze directly. That some questions don't have answers, they have choices. The air between them crackles with possibility. Marcus takes a step forward, close enough that Elena has to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. Elena, her name again, spoken like a secret. "I know," she whispers. "I know what this is, what it could become." And she reaches up, fingers tracing the air just inches from his face, not quite touching, but close enough that he can feel the warmth of her skin. "And I'm tired of being careful." David's laptop nearly slides off his knees. He grips it tight, knuckles white as he watches his wife stand on the precipice of everything they've built together. Marcus's hand rises to meet hers, finally, blessedly making contact. Palm to palm, fingers intertwining. Such a simple touch, but it sends shockwaves through the screen and straight into David's chest. "Your husband," Marcus says, voice rough, "works nights," Elena replies. And there's steel in her voice now. Decision. He won't be home for hours. Marcus's thumb traces across her knuckles, and Elena's eyes flutter closed at the contact. When she opens them again, they're bright with something David hasn't seen in years: aliveness, electricity. "We should stop," Marcus says, but he doesn't release her hand. "Should," Elena agrees, but she steps closer. They're inches apart now, breathing the same air, lost in a moment that feels both inevitable and impossible. Marcus's free hand hovers near her face, and Elena leans into the almost touch like a flower seeking sunlight. The kitchen timer chooses that moment to buzz Elena's reminder to start dinner. The sound breaks the spell, and they spring apart. Like teenagers caught by parents. Elena fumbles for the timer, cheeks flushed, while Marcus returns to his tools with hands that aren't quite steady. "I should finish up," he says, voice carefully neutral. Elena nods, not trusting herself to speak. But as Marcus disappears back under the sink, she touches her palm, the one he'd held, like she's trying to memorize the feeling. David closes the laptop and lies back on the bed, staring at the ceiling as his world tilts on its axis. Tomorrow, he knows they won't stop at holding hands, and he's not sure he wants them to. David doesn't go to work the third night either. This time, Elena notices. "Are you feeling all right?" She presses her palm to his forehead, and her touch burns like fever. "You're not yourself lately." If only she knew how right she was. "Just tired," he says, catching her hand and holding it against his face a moment longer than necessary. "Maybe I'll stay home tomorrow too. Spend some time with my wife." Something flickers across Elena's expression: panic, disappointment. It's gone before. He can name it. "If you need rest, you should rest," she says carefully. "I'll be here." But David hears what she doesn't say. Marcus will be here the next afternoon. David waits in the upstairs hallway instead of behind the laptop screen. He needs to see this with his own eyes, feel it in his chest instead of filtered through pixels and speakers. Marcus arrives at 2:15, punctual as always. David hears the front door open, Elena's greeting, the familiar rhythm of their voices blending together as they move toward the kitchen. He creeps down the stairs, positioning himself where he can see through the kitchen doorway without being seen. Elena is standing closer to Marcus today, not touching, but well within arm's reach as he works beneath the sink. She's wearing a dress David's never seen before, deep green, soft fabric that moves like water when she breathes. "Almost finished?" she asks, and her voice carries a note David recognizes, the same breathless quality she used to get before they made love. Back when desire was simple and uncomplicated. Marcus emerges from his work, tool in hand, and freezes when he sees how close she is. Close enough to touch, close enough to taste. Elena. It's becoming his favorite word, David realizes. The way he says it, like he's been waiting his whole life to meet someone worthy of that name. "I can't stop thinking about yesterday," she whispers, and David's heart stops beating entirely. "About your hand in mine." Marcus sets down his tool. With infinite care. "Elena, we can't." "Can't what?" She steps closer, eliminating the last inches between them. "Can't want this." "Because I do, Marcus. I want this more than I've wanted anything in years. Your husband isn't here." Elena's hands rise to Marcus's chest, palms flat against his shirt. "It's just us. It's been just us for weeks now, and I'm tired of pretending I don't feel this." Marcus's resistance crumbles visibly. His hands come up to frame her face, thumbs tracing the line of her cheekbones with reverent precision. "You're married," he says, but it sounds like he's trying to convince himself rather than her. "I am," Elena agrees, eyes never leaving his. "To a good man who works nights and comes home exhausted and falls asleep watching the news. A man who loves me the way you love a favorite book, comfortable, familiar, safe." David's chest constricts. Is that really how she sees their marriage? As something safe but passionless. "But you," Elena continues, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper, "you look at me like I'm dangerous, like I might surprise you, like I might surprise myself." Marcus's thumbs trace along her jaw, and Elena melts into the touch like she's been starving for it. "You are dangerous," he murmurs. "You're the most dangerous thing that's ever happened to me." "Good," Elena breathes and rises onto her toes. Their lips meet in the middle distance, soft and tentative at first, then deeper as Elena's arms wind around his neck. Marcus makes a sound low in his throat, hunger and surrender combined, and pulls her closer. David watches his wife kiss another man with a passion that steals the breath from his lungs. She presses against Marcus like she's trying to disappear inside him, hands fisting in his shirt, head tilted back to give him better access to her mouth. It's beautiful, devastating, raw in a way that makes David's skin feel too tight. When they finally break apart, both are breathing hard. Elena's lips are swollen, her hair mussed, and she looks more alive than David has seen her in months. "I should leave," Marcus says, but his hands remain on her face. "You should," Elena agrees, but she doesn't move away. Instead, she traces her finger along his lower lip, and Marcus's eyes darken with what? "Tomorrow?" he asks. Elena nods, and the simple gesture feels like a promise, a commitment to something that will change everything. Marcus kisses her once more, brief, sweet, loaded with possibility, then forces himself to step back. "Tomorrow," Elena whispers and watches him gather his tools with eyes that burn. After Marcus leaves, Elena remains in the kitchen, fingers pressed to her lips like she's trying to hold on to the sensation of his kiss. David retreats upstairs before she can discover him, pulse hammering against his throat. Tomorrow, he knows. will bring more than kisses. And God help him. He's not sure he wants to stop it. David doesn't sleep. He spends the night staring at the ceiling, Elena curled beside him. Her breathing deep and even. She looks peaceful, content. But David knows the storm building beneath that serene surface. When morning comes, he makes a decision that surprises even him. I'm going to work early today, he tells Elena over coffee. Cover for Johnson. I'll be home late tonight. Elena nods, but David catches the flash of relief in her eyes. The anticipation. Be careful, she says, kissing his cheek. Her lips linger, a moment longer than usual, and David wonders if she's thinking of other lips, other kisses. He drives to the hospital but doesn't go inside. Instead, he sits in the parking lot, hands gripping the steering wheel, mind racing through possibilities. He never imagined he'd consider it to p.m. He drives home. This time, he doesn't hide. He parks in the driveway, uses his key, walks through the front door like he belongs here. Because he does. This is his house, his marriage, his wife. But the woman he finds in the living room pressed against Marcus's chest, mouth fused to his, hands desperate and seeking, she belongs to someone else entirely. They don't hear him at first. They're lost in each other. Elena's back against the wall, Marcus's body caging her in. Their whispered endearments and soft gasps creating a symphony of desire that David has never inspired. Elena, Marcus murmurs against her throat, and she arches into him like she's been set on fire. Please, she breathes. I know. Marcus soothes, hands tangling in her hair. I know what you need. David clears his throat. They spring apart like they've been electrocuted. Elena's face draining of color while Marcus automatically steps protectively in front of her. David, Elena's voice is barely a whisper. You're home early. So I am. David closes the front door behind him with careful precision, his movements slow and deliberate. Please, don't stop on my account. Confusion flickers across both their faces. This isn't the reaction they expected, not fury, not accusations, not demands for explanations. David, I can explain, Elena begins, but David raises a hand to stop her. Can you? He moves deeper into the room, noting how Elena's lips are swollen from Marcus's kisses, how her sweater is askew, revealing the delicate curve of her collarbone. Can you explain why you look more alive right now than you have in our entire marriage? Elena's mouth opens, then closes. No words come. David turns his attention to Marcus, who stands frozen between fight and flight. You're the repairman. Yes, sir. Marcus's voice is steady despite the circumstances. I should go, should you? David circles them slowly, a predator studying his prey. You've been coming here for weeks, touching my wife, kissing my wife. His eyes lock with Elena's, making my wife feel things I apparently can't. David, please, do you love him? The question cuts through Elena's protest. Like a blade, she stares at her husband, tears gathering in her dark eyes. I don't know. But you want him. Elena's chin lifts, a spark of defiance igniting. Yes, more than you want me. It's not a question, and Elena doesn't treat it like one. Differently than I want you. David nods, processing this distinction. Show me. What? Elena's voice is breathless with shock. Show me what he gives you that I don't. David settles into his leather chair, the one that faces the couch where Elena and Marcus stand frozen. I want to understand what I've been missing. Marcus steps forward, jaw tight. Look, I don't know what kind of game this is. No game, David interrupts. Just a husband trying to learn something about his wife, about desire, about what she needs. Elena looks between the two men, confusion and want warring in her expression. David, you can't be serious. I've never been more serious about anything in my life. He leans forward, elbows on his knees, eyes intense. For weeks, I've watched you come alive with him. I want to understand that woman, the one who takes what she wants, instead of settling for what she has. The silence stretches, heavy with possibility and danger. Finally, Elena turns to Marcus. Her hands rise to frame his face. The same gesture David witnessed on the security footage, but infinitely more powerful in person. Are you sure? Marcus whispers, eyes searching hers. Elena glances at her husband, sitting motionless in his chair, watching them with an intensity that makes her skin flush. I'm sure. She kisses Marcus with abandonment. all pretense stripped away. This isn't stolen passion behind closed doors. This is Elena claiming what she wants in front of the man she married, defying every convention, every safe choice she's ever made. Marcus responds with equal fervor, hands spanning her waist, pulling her against him until there's no space left between their bodies. Elena moans softly, the sound echoing in the quiet room, and David feels it reverberate through his entire being. When they break apart, both are breathing hard. Elena's eyes find David's across the room, searching for judgment, for anger, for anything that might stop this madness. Instead, she finds understanding, and something that might be hunger. Don't stop, David says quietly. I want to see who you become when you stop being afraid. Elena holds his gaze for a long moment, then turns back to Marcus with decision blazing in her eyes. This time, when she kisses him, she doesn't hold back at all. The room fills with golden afternoon light as Elena leads Marcus to the couch. David's presence a constant awareness that somehow makes everything more intense rather than less. She's crossed a line she never imagined existed, and there's no going back. But she doesn't want to go back. Elena. Marcus breathes her name like a prayer as she settles beside him, her hands framing his face with newfound confidence. I'm here, she whispers. I'm right here. From his chair, David watches his wife transform. Gone is the careful, controlled woman he married. In her place is someone luminous with desire, unafraid of her own wanting. Elena kisses Marcus slowly, thoroughly, pouring 8 years of unspoken hunger into the connection of their mouths. When they part, she turns to find David's eyes on them, dark with something that isn't quite jealousy, isn't quite pain. Come here, she says softly. David's breath catches. Elena, come here. Her voice is steady now, certain. Please. David rises slowly, crossing the space between them like a man walking toward either salvation or damnation. When he reaches the couch, Elena extends her hand to him. I don't understand what's happening, she admits, fingers intertwining with his. But I know I don't want to lie anymore. To you, to myself, to anyone. David's thumb traces across her, knuckles the same gesture Marcus had made days ago, but different, familiar. Home. What do you want, Elena? David asks, and there's no judgment in the question, only curiosity, only love. Elena looks between the two men who have somehow become the center of her universe, one representing everything safe and known, the other, everything wild and possible. I want both, she whispers, the confession torn from somewhere deep inside her chest. I want the love we built and the fire we never had. I want the comfort of knowing someone completely and the thrill of being surprised. Marcus shifts beside her, uncertainty flickering across his features. Elena, I don't know how, neither do I, she admits, turning to face him fully. But I know I can't choose between you anymore. I know I won't survive going back to pretending I don't need both of these things. The three of them sit in silence, the weight of Elena's confession settling around them like dust after an explosion. Finally, David speaks. I've been watching you for weeks, seeing you come alive in ways I never could inspire. And instead of feeling angry, I felt grateful. Elena's eyes widen. Grateful that someone could give you what I couldn't, that someone could see the fire in you and fan it instead of banking it. David's voice grows stronger, more certain. I love you, Elena. All of you, even the parts that need more than I can give. Marcus clears his throat, and both turn to look at him. This is insane, he says. But his voice lacks conviction. Is it? Elena challenges. Or is it the first sane thing any of us have done in years? She rises from the couch, moving to stand before the window where afternoon light turns her hair to silk and fire. I spent 8 years being the perfect wife, safe, predictable, grateful for what I had instead of acknowledging what I needed. Turning back to face them, she straightens her shoulders with newfound resolution. I'm done with perfect. I'm done with safe. David stands as well, crossing to his wife with slow, deliberate steps. When he reaches her, he takes her face in his hands with infinite tenderness. Then we'll figure out imperfect together, he says, and kisses her forehead with reverent care. Marcus watches this exchange with growing wonder. You're serious about this, both of you. Elena extends her hand to him, palm up, an invitation and a promise. Come here, Marcus. He rises slowly, crossing the space between them like a man in a dream. When his fingers intertwine with hers, Elena feels complete for the first time in her adult life. "I don't know what this makes us," she admits, looking between the two men who hold her heart in different ways. "I don't know how this works or where it leads." But David prompts gently. Elena smiles, radiant with possibility. "But I know I want to find out, with both of you, if you'll have me." Marcus squeezes her hand. "Elena Reyes, you are the most terrifying, wonderful thing that's ever happened to me." David laughs, the sound rusty but genuine. "She has that effect on people." Elena rises onto her toes, kissing Marcus softly, then turning to press an equally tender kiss to David's lips. When she pulls back, both men are looking at her with identical expressions of wonder and hunger. "So what happens now?" Marcus asks. Elena takes both their hands in hers, anchoring herself between them. "Now we stop pretending we know how love is supposed to look. Now we write our own rules." David nods slowly. "It won't be easy." "The good things never are," Elena replies, and there's steel in her voice now, determination. "But I'm done taking the easy path." Marcus brings their joined hands to his lips, pressing a kiss to Elena's knuckles. Then to David's. "Then we do this together. All of us, together," Elena agrees. And the word feels like a vow. Outside, the afternoon sun begins its descent toward evening, painting their living room in shades of gold and promise. Inside, three people who have found something unprecedented sit together on the couch, hands intertwined, hearts open, ready to discover what love looks like when it refuses to fit into convenient categories. Elena settles between them, her head on David's shoulder, her hand in Marcus's, and feels more at home than she has in years. This is what wholeness feels like, she realizes. Not the safe, controlled existence she'd built, but this wild and uncertain and absolutely right. "I love you both," she whispers into the golden light, and for the first time in 8 years, Elena Reyes is exactly where she belongs.